Tonight, troubling news for Superman. Rob Liefeld is done with Marvel. The Bad Batch comes back. The Sims celebrates 25 years. And remember the voice of He Man, John Irwin. All that and more in this edition of Multiverse. Tonight! Comic books, sci fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's your host, Thomas Townley. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 233 of Multiverse Tonight. I'm, of course, your host, Thomas Townley, and it's another cold day on the plains. I can tell you that. We're expecting snow tomorrow evening and into Wednesday that might, drop several inches. And so it's just a cold day. In other personal news, the store that I'm working at is getting remodeled, so I have to put up with that till April. But other than that, things have been going pretty well. So let's just cut the chat and go on to the DC Comics news. And we start DC news with the estate of Joseph Schuster, the co-creator of the iconic superhero Superman, who has initiated legal action against Warner Bros. Discovery and DC Comics. The lawsuit contends that the companies are not legally entitled to distribute the forthcoming Superman film in specific crucial international markets. Now, the legal dispute resolves around foreign copyright laws that automatically revert ownership rights back to the Schuster estate 25 years after the author's death. The estate argues that Warner Brothers has been exploiting the Superman character in these territories without proper authorization, thus infringing upon their rights. Now, Warner Brothers has responded to the lawsuit by expressing their disagreement with the claims made by the Schuster estate. The company maintains that they possess the necessary rights to distribute the Superman film in the territories in question and intends to vigorously defend their legal position. Now, the outcome of this lawsuit could have significant implications for the distribution and exploitation of the Superman character in international markets. If the Schuster estate is successful, it could potentially lead to Super Brothers being required to renegotiate their rights or face restrictions on their ability to release Superman-related content in certain territories. Now, this legal dispute also highlights the complexities of international copyright laws and the challenges faced by companies operating in a global marketplace. There will be no third season for The Sandman. Netflix made the announcement Friday on social media that the upcoming second season will be its last. Now, the official announcement comes amid sexual assault and misconduct allegations against Neil Gaiman, who created the comic on which the series is based and developed and executive produced the Netflix series. Gaiman has denied the allegations. Now, it had been decided before filming began on season 2 that would serve as the series' conclusion, with the storyline completing Dream's story arc. The Sandman series has always been focused exclusively on Dream's story, and back in 2022, when they looked at the remaining Dream material from the comics, they knew that they had only enough story for one more season, according to showrunner Alan Heinberg, who wrote in a post shared online. Went on to say, "We are extremely grateful to Netflix for bringing the team all back together and giving us the time and resources to make a faithful adaptation in a way that we hope will surprise and delight the comics' loyal readers as well as fans of the show." Unquote. The 10-episode series followed Morpheus, played by Tom Sturridge, the personification of dreams and one of the seven endless, who was captured in an occult ritual in 1916. After being held captive for 106 years, Dream escaped and set out to restore order to his realm, the Dreaming. Now, other series stars include Boyd Holbrook as Corinthian, Vivian Ampong as Lucian, Patton Oswalt as the voice of Matthew the Raven, David Twillis as John Dee, Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer Morningstar, Jenna Coleman as Jonah Constantine, and Kirby Howell Baptiste as Death, among others. Alan Heinberg exec produced alongside Gaiman and David S. Goyer. Gaiman, Goyer, and Heinberg also were the co writers on the project. Now let's go on to the Marvel news. Nearly 35 years after creating Deadpool, Rob Liefeld has reached his boiling point with Marvel Studios. The comic creator, who conceived the character in the 1990 issue of New Mutants, publicly cut ties with Marvel as he recounted being snubbed at the July 2024 premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine. Quote, "It was meant to embarrass, diminish, and defeat me," which he said in the last episode of his Robservations podcast, which was titled Marvel Access Denied. He recalled being ignored by Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige on the red carpet before finding out that he and his family were not invited to the after party, the final straw for Liefeld. Meanwhile, Liefeld posed on the carpet with creatives from the movie, but later learned those photos were deleted as he believes they were only taken to appease him. Quote, "At some point you go, I've received the message and the message is clear," he added. Now, previously, Liefeld sent a message to Marvel after they granted Wolverine co-creator Roy Thomas a special spot in the film's credits, which upset co-creator Len Wein's widow, Christian Valada, a friend of Liefeld. He also inquired about a special mention for himself in the credits, noting he did not ask for money. Quote, "Marvel's treatment of creators has never been their strength. Without the worlds, the creators, and the concepts that we create, and in this specific case, the world of Deadpool, there are no films to shoot, no blockbusters to distribute. I am not the easy button at Staples. I am the human imagination behind it all." Unquote. Comic book creators cannot continue to be relegated as afterthoughts. This is easy to address. Unless I reach out to address it, it will never manifest. Unquote. There's some personal observations here. He thinks too much of himself. Yeah, yeah, he gives himself way too much credit for things. So it's best to take him with a grain of salt. You know, plus he can never draw feet. Anyway, let's go on to the Star Wars news. Star Wars news begins with Disneyland finally answering the question that has hung over Galaxy's Edge since the Star Wars land opened back in 2019. Is it important to adhere to a strict timeline in the epic saga, or let fans enjoy all of the galaxy far, far away all at once? Well, meet a young Luke Skywalker meet and greet character will appear during the Season of the Force seasonal event that runs March 28th to May 11th at Disneyland. Additional details will be announced by Disneyland on Monday, February 10th, according to the official Disney Parks Instagram account. Now, The Move, breaks more than 5 years of strict adherence to a storytelling rule established by Walt Disney Imagineering and Lucasfilm that limited Galaxy's Edge to a time period between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, the last two films in the sequel trilogy. This means Darth Vader, Han Solo, Obi-Wan Kenobi may soon join Luke Skywalker at the Black Spire Outpost Village on the Star Wars planet of Batuu, the setting for the 14-acre land at Disneyland in Anaheim. Now, up until now, the old school characters from the original Star Trek trilogy had been effectively banned from Galaxy's Edge by Imagineering. From a storytelling standpoint, the Star Wars Galactic Calendar marks time on either side of the attack of the Death Star known as the Battle of Yavin. Dates fall before the Battle of Yavin or after the universe-saving attack, ABY. Galaxy's Edge is set between 34 ABY, when The Last Galaxy takes place, and 35 ABY, when the Rise of the Skywalker film is set. So, in other words, they're just, kind of breaking kayfabe, as the wrestling fans say. Anyway, Sigourney Weaver has shed some light on her character's role in the upcoming Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu. While the acting legend couldn't share too many details, she did tease that she portrays someone of great importance. Quote, I play a wonderful character who is, in a position of authority. She revealed that she'll be giving orders to Din Djarin. Quote, I have to send the Mandalorian out on a mission on the Outer Rim where all the bad stuff happens, she said in an interview with Games Red Hour Plus while promoting Apple TV's The Gorge. The nature of Weaver's role meant she got to share scenes with the adorable Grogu, which she said was her primary reason for joining the project. Quote, he's a little badass too. It's going to be wonderful for people to see what Grogu is up to now because he's grown up a little bit and is capable of much more than maybe we think just by watching the series. Unquote. The movie, directed by Jon Favreau, will be a big screen continuation of the hit DC Plus series The Mandalorian, following the titular characters on their latest adventures. Plot details are being kept under wraps, but the movie is scheduled to premiere in May of 2026. Clone Force 99, the fan favorite characters, also known as the Bad Batch, will make their return to the Star Wars franchise in a new novel. Today, Lucasfilm announced the book Star Wars Sanctuary, which will be released on August 5th. Written by Lamar Giles, the story takes place during the events of the Bad Batch Season 2 and centers on Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Omega as they work with treasure hunter Genoa on a plan to help rebuild their island refuge after the devastating tsunami seen in the episode Pabu. So, that's great. I hope people are happy to, at least read some more adventures of the Bad Batch. Anyway, let's get on with the geek news. Black Panther star Dania Gurira has joined John Cena in Matchbox, the Apple original film's live-action take on the classic Mattel car toy line. The actress, who's also known for playing fan-favorite character Michonne on AMC's The Walking Dead, now joins a call sheet that also includes Sam Richardson, Tony Paris, and Arturo Castro. Sam Hargrave, the helmer behind the Extraction action movies, is directing the feature that is shooting this winter in several locales around the world, including Hungary and Slovakia. Matchbox is the toy brand first created in 1953 and acquired by Mattel in 1997. The company originally competed with Matchbox in the die-cast car space with its own line, Hot Wheels. Now, plot details have been kept under wraps, but the project is described as an action-packed globe-trotting adventure that centers on a group of childhood friends who must work together to stop an impending worldwide disaster and rediscover their friendship along the way. Yeah, it kind of sounds like the Fast and Furious, doesn't it? But with toy cars. Spooky Pictures, the company run by Steven Snyder and Roy Lee, has teamed up with IDW Entertainment to adapt Dungeon, the horror comedy by Scott Snyder and Hayden Sherman. Snyder and Lee will produce the adaptation with Daniel Kendrick of IDW Entertainment, the screen arm of IDW Publishing. The option deal comes as Snyder and Sherman have been among the top commodities in the comics field. Snyder, a longtime comics author, is currently writing Absolute Batman for DC, with that comics launch being the best-selling title of 2024. Sherman is illustrating Absolute Wonder Woman, which has also been a massive launch that went to multiple printings. Published as a 5-issue miniseries in 2023-2024, the story begins when a family moves from the Big Apple to upstate New York to escape the hustle and bustle. However, their father's dream of a quiet rural life is shattered when he discovers a dungeon underneath their land filled with torture devices, weapons, and a threatening message on the wall that reads, "Tell no one." The discovery sets up a paranoid serial kidnapping mystery where no one, not even the father's child, is safe, and not even the FBI agent assigned to the case can help. Quote, there's no shortage of serial killer stories in the marketplace. The challenge is finding one that is both terrifying and goes to places we haven't seen before, he stated. Spooky's Steven Snyder. Dungeon is it. Now, continuing, he went on to say, quote, and even as longtime fans and producers in the genre, We find ourselves haunted by what we read. This is our Silence of the Lambs and Seven. Snyder knows what's what about horror, having worked on the Insidious and Paranormal Activity movies. He also executive produced a series of M. Night Shyamalan movies, ranging from The Visit and Split to Knock at the Cabin and Trap. Last year, he and Lee, another horror maestro who produced Barbarian and This Weekend's Companion, produced last year's well-received thriller Strange Darling via the Spooky banner. Spooky also produced Late Night with the Devil, last year's supernatural horror thriller that starred David Dash Mulligan, has a 1970s talk show who makes a deal he probably shouldn't have. EA has announced it will be re-releasing The Sims and Sims 2 to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the beloved franchise. These classic titles will be available for purchase both individually and as a bundled package, offering fans the opportunity to relive the early days of the series. The re-releases also include bonus content, although the specifics of this additional material have not been revealed. While the Sims 4 continues to receive updates and expansions, EA has stated that there's currently no plans for the development of a Sims 5. This news may disappoint some fans who are hoping for a new installment in the series, but it appears that EA is focusing on supporting and expanding the existing Sims 4 experience for the time being. Now, the re-release of The Sims and The Sims 2 is a testament to the enduring popularity of the franchise and provides an excellent opportunity for both longtime fans and newcomers to experience the origins of this iconic series. And I picked up both the re-release of The Sims and Sims 2, and it runs great on my laptop. Of course, this is software from the early 2000s, so you know your mileage may vary, but go ahead and pick them up. They're actually very fun to play with. More than 2 decades after Buffy the Vampire Slayer ended its 7-season run, the beloved supernatural drama is eyeing a revival with a new chapter in the franchise. A follow-up series is nearing a pilot order from Hulu, with Sarah Michelle Gellar expected to start reprising her signature role as Buffy Summers, according to sources. Oscar winner Chloe Zhao, a self-professed lifelong Buffy fan, is set to direct the pilot, written by Nora and Lilia Zuckerman from Poker Face. The reboot hails from Buffy the Vampire Slayer Studio 20th Television and Disney siblings Searchlight TV, where Zhao has been under a first-look deal. After months of horrific allegations of sexual misconduct, the Sandman creator Neil Gaiman has been taken to court in a trio of states on allegations of rape, human trafficking, and more by former New Zealand nanny and musician Amanda Palmer's son. Quote, this claim arises out of defendant Neil Gaiman's sexual abuse of plaintiff and his wife Amanda Palmer's role in procuring and presenting plaintiff to Gaiman for such abuse, states a rape and human trafficking complaint filed in federal court in Wisconsin by Scarlett Pavlovich. Quote, Gaiman has a decades-long history of sexual misconduct, consistent with the actions that will be described in the following paragraphs. The 28-page 9-claim action adds with vivid detail, including a sodomy rape of slave Pavlovich by Gaiman just 3 years ago. Seeking at least $1 million and a jury trial, the case's details align with the deeply researched New York Magazine article, There Is No Safe Word, by Lilia Shapiro from earlier this year, and the allegations made by Pavlovich and 7 different women against Gaiman. That New York Magazine article drew from Tortoise Media's 6-part podcast, Master, the allegations against Neil Gaiman from last summer. And, I'm just going to say here, no comment, let this stuff work itself out in the courts before you decide guilt or innocence. That's every citizen's right. So just, don't give judgment until judgment has been given. Anyway, Corey Stoll from Billions has been brought aboard the Matchbox. Cineverse has set a 2025 release date for The Toxic Avenger, starring Peter Dinklage as Toxie, according to Deadline.com. The reboot of the 1980s dark cult comedy will premiere as an unrated wide release on August 29th, kicking off what's sure to be a big Labor Day weekend. Now, Cineverse, which rocked the box office with Terrifier 3 last fall, acquired all US and Canadian theatrical, home entertainment, and streaming rights to The Toxic Avenger through a deal with Legendary Entertainment. Directed by Macon Blair, it stars Emmy and Global Golden Globe winner Dinklage with Kevin Bacon, Elijah Wood, Jacob Tremblay, Julia Davis, and Taylor Page also starring. Dune Part 2, Beetlejuice, and Alien Romulus were the big film winners at the 52nd Annual Saturn Awards, held this past Sunday at the Hilton Universal City. Nicolas Cage and Demi Moore took the lead acting prizes for their respective turn in Dream Scenario and The Substance, and Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 took the Best Science Fiction Film Prize. Tim Burton's Beetlejuice won for Fantasy Film, and Fede Alvarez's Alien Romulus seized Best Horror Film. Other movie winners on the night included Deadpool and Wolverine for Best Action Adventure Film, The Wild Robot for Animated Film, Godzilla Minus One for International Film, Strange Darling for Thriller, and Late Night with the Devil, Best Independent Film. The TV winners list includes Fallout, House of the Dragon, Agatha All Along, Cobra Kai, From, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, Star Wars, The Bad Batch, and The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. The Penguins' Colin Farrell and Star Wars Ahsoka's Rosario Dawson took home the lead acting prizes. Joel McHale hosted the ceremony, which featured a Lifetime Achievement Award for Star Trek Captain William Shatner. Lawrence Fishburne also accepted the inaugural Lance Reddick Legacy Award. The Saturn Awards honor the best in genre entertainment and have been presented by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror since its inception in 1972. This year's ceremony was dedicated to those affected by the Los Angeles wildfires and the true superheroes, the firefighters and emergency responders whose bravery, dedication, and sacrifice helped protect lives and property. Legendary Entertainment and Hasbro Entertainment announced in a joint news release that they have reached a deal to license Magic the Gathering to Legendary for development into a quote, a live action feature film and television universe, starting with an initially planned movie that will expand to other media. Legendary is the studio behind IP derived movies like Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, Denis Villeneuve's Dune and Dune Part 2, and the recent run of Godzilla and King Kong movies, including Godzilla X and Kong the New Empire. There were no initial details about what area of magic the studio might want to explore or who would be involved with the production. The initial news release just promised, quote, a multimedia universe that thrills long-standing fans and creates a broad wave of new ones, unquote. But looking at Legendary's other output, such as Christopher Nolan's Interstellar and Inception, the 2016 Warcraft movie, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, and Watchmen, uh, and, uh, and the Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie, at least suggests the specific dark, somber tone and blockbuster scope that the company might bring to the material. Now, this news release notes that Hasbro has also licensed Magic the Gathering to Netflix for the previously reported and recently revived upcoming animated TV series, which suggests this deal hasn't canceled or overwritten the old one. Presumably, Legendary's planned Magic Universe won't intersect with the Netflix version at all. Some more award news. Winners of the 30th Annual Critics' Choice Awards were named this past week. Hollywood's biggest names glammed up for the delayed Critics' Choice Awards in Santa Monica, California, which saw stars hit the 2025 red carpet, including Wicked star Ariana Grande. Now, there weren't very many geeky winners this time, but we'll point some out. Best Director John M. Chu for Wicked. Demi Moore won for the horror film The Substance. And also Corley Farragut won for Best Original Screenplay for The Substance. The best animated film went to The Wild Robot. The best comic tie was a tie went to A Real Pain and Deadpool and Wolverine. And on the TV side, uh, the Colin Farrell won for Best Actor in a Limited Series or TV Movie for The Penguin, and Kristen Milotti won for Best Actress in a Limited Series or TV Movie for The Penguin. Squid Game won Best Foreign Language Series, and Best Animated Series went to X-Men 97. And finally tonight, John Irwin, the voice behind such iconic animated animal. And finally tonight, John Irwin, the voice behind such iconic animated and animal TV characters such as He-Man, Morris the Cat, the snobby Reggie of the on the Archie cartoons, and many other Saturday morning favorites of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, died last month of natural causes at his home in Camarillo, California, at the age of 88. His death was announced by his PR firm, Celebrix. Melinda Britt, who voiced the character She-Ra, the superhero and sister of superhero He-Man in Filmation's Masters of the Universe world, said in a statement, quote, "For 40 years, John Irwin was not only my brother on screen, he was my friend. To have my brother pass on is a tremendous sorrow, even though I know life is not infinite. The tears I have are because John was such a special, quiet man, and we shared a very special relationship in those roles as twin brother and sister. He-Man said, 'I have the power. You did and still do.'" Unquote. Now, Alan Oppenheimer, who voiced the villain Skeletor in the He-Man She-Ra world, also wrote, "Working with John Irwin was a ballad of irreverence, professionalism, and surprise. Surprise of how many life stories he had. He was a series actor, writer, performer of commercials, musician, painter, and an all-around lovely gentleman, an indelible addition to my life." Unquote. An intensely private man, Irwin provided no photographs of himself even to his PR firm. He is said to have died around December 20th. His voice, however, can be widely recognized by countless children of the classic Saturday morning cartoon era, as the voice of the wealthy Reggie Mantle on The Archie Show in 1968, and numerous cartoon spin offs in the 60s and 70s, such as The Archie Comedy Show, Archie's Funhouse, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Archie's Bang Shang Lollapalooza Show, among others. Irwin perfected the tone of comic youthful arrogance and snobbery. Although he'd voiced other characters of the era, including various Flintstones and Groovy Ghoulies cartoons, he'd become ubiquitous for the 1980s Centaurian echo-laden voice of He-Man on the Masters of the Universe superhero with a massive sword, golden Dutch boy-style haircut, and bulging muscles. He also voiced the character's Clark Kent's alter ego of Prince Adam. Born on December 5th, 1936 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Irwin achieved iconic status in the advertising world for his voicing of the sardonic Tabby spokescat for 9 Lives cat food, uh, Morris the cat. Beginning in 1968, the Irwin voiced feline, created by the Leo Burnett advertising agency, could be seen in countless commercials as an extremely finicky creature who ultimately gave in to the apparent deliciousness of the chicken or seafood flavored food. Earlier in his career, in 1959, Irwin recurred in the lighthearted and live-action cowboy series Rawhide as cattle driver Teddy, and in 1955 he voiced various animal characters in the hit pig comedy Babe. His final credit was in the 2005 episode of Family Guy, voicing He-Man. According to Celebrix, he is survived, quote, by his loving family of children and grandchildren, unquote. No names were provided in keeping with his wishes. And John Irwin, the voice of He-Man, dead at the age of 88. And with that, we reach the end of this edition of the show. Now, please be sure to check us out on social media. We're on Blue Sky and Twitter at Multiverse Tom, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram at Multiverse Tonight. And if you've gotten some value out of the show and would like to pay it back, please head on over to multiversetonight.com, where you can find our Patreon and Ko-fi links, check out our show notes, visit our TeePublic store, and leave some feedback, and so much more. Now, if this is your first time listening, Thank you and welcome. Go ahead and share us with others. Hit that subscribe and like button, and I'll be sure to call you out on a future episode if you do. Come on, doesn't take but a second. Anyway, special thanks to Shane Ivers for the intro music and Lobo Loco for the outro theme music. Thanks for watching this edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more sci-fi and comic book news goodness. Now please exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Fascinating Young Productions. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved. This podcast is part of the Multiverse Cultural Podcast Network. Find out more